Welcome to Rewired for Great Success with Dr. Aimee V. Sanchez, neuropsychologist, executive coach, organizational development expert, award-winning best-selling author, and international speaker. Dr. Sanchez is on a mission to impact 1 million leaders through her thought leadership and specialized programs for women leaders. She is passionate about helping organizations strategize and draw a direct connection between leadership, diversity and inclusion, and organizational outcomes. Welcome to the conversation.
Point on different topics. And today we have Miss Elisa Leary, who's going to come and share with us about her experience having led in the corporate industry, as well as we're going to touch on some issues related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So welcome, Elisa. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure to sit and chat, and particularly at this time about D&I, which is truly kind of my life's work and life's passion. So I'm thrilled to be here with you.
That's amazing. Thank you. Why don't you share for us a little bit, and for the listeners that maybe aren't familiar with you, about your background and how you're currently leading?
Sure. So primarily my entire career has been as an HR business partner. And what that really means is I'm the person within the organization who really helps to structure the organization, employee relations within the organization, and really helps all of the the business partners and your leaders within an organization get to what their objectives and goals are through people capital, and that's kind of really putting it in a very simple, capsulated way in what my work has been. But through that work, what's a little unique about me is that I've always done that work throughout my entire career, even from the very start, with the notion that it was very, very important that people understood the importance of inclusivity and belonging. So far before people started talking about belonging as a thing, it was something that I've always known and always recognized, that with those variety of thoughts within a room, things just always seem to be much, much richer and better. So that's really what has led me throughout my entire career, has allowed me to advance throughout my career, and really landed me in the official role of a D&I executive.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So in your opinion, as an expert in this area, where do you feel that we are now? Not just we as a country, but we in the organizational, in the business space, where are we now?
Yeah, so that's such a great question, particularly at this time. But, we've really reached a pivotal moment right now that we're living in. And why I say that is because it is so far reaching. So I've made this comment before, many folks have made this comment before, that we've reached pivotal moments. But why I think this moment is so much different, it feels different, and everyone is saying that, is that there's a broad focus on one single thing. And it's rare that everyone in some shape or form is focused on the importance of equality. We all know innately, whether you're Black, white, brown, doesn't matter, innately we recognize that there's a need for equality, for the world to turn on its axis in a right way, in an ethical way. But we're not all there at the same time. It really takes, pivotal things to happen within the world for us to pay attention. And this put everyone's attention right in the same place. Yeah. So I think that's what really makes this just a really unique time for everyone. And what we've been talking a lot about, and my phone's been ringing off the hook, as has every person that has D&I attached to them. We're getting calls asking for advice and guidance and support, et cetera, that, it's critical for all of us, and not only those who are using, who have the expertise to recognize the power that we all have to lend to this and not take the foot off of the pedal. Because I think if we, to me, in my lifetime, if we don't continue to press on here, we're going to lose a very, very special moment. So I think we all need to recognize that.
Yeah, I think I'm right on with you there. And I feel like in my lifetime, in the time that I've been working, especially in the corporate sphere and now consulting to businesses, organizations, and coaching individuals in those same environments, that it's a different kind of presence. I wouldn't say that it's attention per se,
Yeah.
but it's a different kind of presence. For you, that is the person that is needing to be seen, visible, heard, accepted, included. It's a different presence. And also for those who are shaping the culture of the environment.
Right.
And so I want to, I think you said it beautifully when you said we're not all there at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, kind of in your opinion, because I know that you had previously worked even at a really high level as VP of Diversity and Inclusion at Macy's. And so you've seen what that's been like firsthand steering the ship. But what does that look like now in this climate for individuals, that diverse individuals that may be experiencing things like intersectionality, if they're experiencing microaggressions in the workplace? This stuff is already happening, right? Or if they're having to deal with pushback in the workplace. How do you deal in this new climate where you know as an individual that people's sense of sensitivity and awareness is heightened, but we may not all be there at the same time?
Sure. Yeah. And you know, what I've always tried to help my mentees with, and those who seek my guidance, is that all of those things that you've just mentioned, regardless of what period of time we're in, are, let's not live under any illusions, will always exist. And so I think what I always try to guide folks with is to make sure that you have to, and this sounds a little cliche, but you really just need to have a level of awareness on who you are, what it is that you're trying to achieve, and most importantly, not allow yourself to be distracted. And we tend to get very, very distracted by all of those things. And when that happens, it consumes us and then it takes us off track. So you can only, if you can really learn the discipline of self-awareness and only focus on those things that you can control, then you start to look at things from a corporate, navigating the corporate landscape. You start to look at it in a very, very different way. And what I mean by that, as an example, and a real life example, is I was counseling someone within the organization. She was so consumed by everything that was going on around her. Specifically, I feel I'm being passed over. By feeling that I'm being passed over, she developed a sense, an aggression about her. That spiraled into impacting her brand. Which then now there's a real reason now why she's not being selected to go into the leadership role. So it's this spiral effect that starts to happen when you allow those external factors that we all know exist. But what starts to happen, it creeps in and then starts to impact your behavior, and your behavior then impacts your everything about what you do, how you do it, etc. And now you've given the powers that be a real reason, and it's tangible. They can see it, they can feel it. Your work product exhibits it. So So I answer this question this way because I truly believe that you have to be the pilot of your own ship. That comes with learning discipline, that comes with having self-confidence, and underneath all of that is all about self-awareness, because not all of it is related to the external.
Yes.
Some of it, a lot of it is you initially.
Yes.
So you have to understand that. And I work very hard with those that I'm closest to help them and guide them right in that direction.
Yeah.
And it opens up a huge, huge area where they finally recognize that, you know what, I can't control everything, but suddenly my path is a lot clearer.
Yeah, I work with my clients on this principle I call the 60-40 principle, where I believe maybe there's 40% of stuff that you can't control,
Yeah.
and 60% that you can when it comes to your career. So it's incumbent upon you to be impeccable for that 60%. So if you know if gender bias is going on, if you know that there is some types of prejudices or or maybe you have this hostile work environment, that 40%, you're probably not going to be able to control that in an effective way. So focus on what you can do. I like that.
Yeah.
And so with that, sometimes what ends up happening is you realize that you're working in an environment that is untenable. It's not one that's going to change, right? Not for the better, and not in your lifetime of your career.
Right.
So how do you know when it's time to go?
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really great question, because I think for everyone it's different. And the reason why it's different for everyone is when everyone has a different level of patience. So, and tolerance, quite frankly.
Yes.
And so it takes others, not everyone is as intuitive. Some people are just adamant that they're going to force something to happen. So you really have to recognize the landscape. And I love this saying by Maya Angelou. And it's, and you know this one, when people are showing you who they are, believe them.
Believe them.
Yes. Right? I love that, because it says everything, and it's so simple. Yet yet it's something that we continue to resist. Yes. Because for a whole host of reasons, I'm going to show them how smart I am, or I'm going to show them, or I can change things because I know that I can do that. So I think you have to really put on your hat of reason.
Yes.
And again, we go into all of this with the notion that we're all self-aware, that we have to work on us first. Because I think, you have to do yourself the favor of investing in yourself by knowing yourself, because if you can do that, it will make all the difference in the choices that you make, because now you're taking ownership and you're not blaming someone else. And when you take ownership, it's like a business owner. You no longer give away, or you're no longer frivolous with decisions. Just like if you own a business, you're no longer going to be frivolous with your money. But if you work for someone else, you tend to ask for that, extra equipment or whatever. It's the same thing with us. Consider yourself a product. And if you're a product, then you're going to make the best decisions. You're going to put the best oil and gases and all of those things and fringes. You're going to put all the best into you, and it's exactly the same thing. So you kind of roll with that, and then know that, no, I am too good to be passed over. I deserve that. And this is the second time I've been passed over. Listen to your sense of reasonability and say, it's time to go. And guess what? I have the power. I'm marketable. So the level of confidence makes a big difference, because that's what kind of handicaps people from moving. So I think the discipline, the self-awareness, understanding your worth, all of those things play into the time frame and when you know when it's time to go, because you don't want to cut off your nose to spite your face, because we need to feed our families. But be very strategic and intentional. When you know it's nearing, then you start to do your homework and do what you do with intention. Yes,
I agree. A lot of the work that I do is about for women that are deciding they're going to pivot or transition is helping them define the strategy. It's one thing to be caught up in the moment, like, I gotta go. These people, they don't know who I am.
Exactly.
You know, right?
I'll show them.
Yeah. And see how they are without me. And
Right.
then you go 3 months without a job or 6 months without a job, and you're trying to make that gap up. And now you're trying to explain that in an interview.
Right.
So we're very conscientious about being able to define a strategy if you have time to do that. Sometimes people don't have time to do that for whatever reason. They leave early, or they get laid off or furloughed, and now they're without. But anything that you do in your career is going to require a strategy. I think something you said that was just so insightful was that you have a brand. Right. So you have to be mindful of that. And so just like any organization, any business, any company that's pushing a product, there's going to be a strategy behind being able to market and put that product out, right? So regardless of how you got in the situation, whether it's you're deciding to leave or the decision was made for you, you still have a brand that has to be put out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's really important as well, that really helps you when unexpected things happen. You never wait until something happens to now decide what you're going to do. So I say to everyone, and that's why I always say lead with intention. Mm-hmm. Things could be going great, but you, in life's journey, you should always have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. So when things happen unexpectedly, you are not just thinking about what you're going to do. So when they happen, you're not as blindsided because you already know that you have a plan in place. Mm-hmm. So that plan may not materialize right away, but it really takes the element of surprise away because you're not left feeling, so shocked. Yes. And you're not feeling left out of control because you're saying, okay, it's okay. Because I knew at some point this could happen. Yes. And I'm ready because I've already networked. I've already kind of pivoted and understood that this could happen. And so I talked about this. This is in my journal, or this is in my, objective pad or whatever. And I teach everybody, and people that are close to me, my nieces, my nephews, I talk to them about this all the time. Always have a plan. Mm-hmm. I don't care how well things are going, always have a plan, particularly in your professional career, because every move that you make, and this is why I always talk about intention. Anyone that knows me, they will tell you that I always talk about being purposeful and intentional about everything that I do. And it's true. And one of the things I say to them is, if you do that, it'll help you make better decisions. Mm-hmm. So for example, every single move I've made in the last 20 years have been very intentional moves. Mm-hmm. And every job that I've been offered, I've taken them because I've known that they were going to be building blocks toward another role. Or even within the same organization, I've taken roles that someone may say, well, why did she take that job? Mm-hmm. And I've taken them because it's given me additional experiences. It may have been lateral, but it continued to build towards my ultimate goal and what I ultimately wanted to do. So I tell people to make sure you have that framework. Really, I mean, put it down, pen to paper, so that you can see and you ask yourself the question, because people will say, well, Elisa, I'm being offered this position, but it's a lateral position. And I don't want to move from this job to move to that job. Mm-hmm. And then I take them through an exercise of what it is that they're trying to accomplish ultimately. Like, what is the long-term goal? Mm-hmm. And I have them write it down. What is it that they need to get to that long-term goal? So is this new role providing any of that? I have them write it out and then kind of do the match. Mm-hmm. And they go, oh, okay. Then I am walking away with something, because they're saying, well, I'm not gaining anything. So you have to show them where the gain is to get them to the ultimate goal. It's not all
Mhm.
about the here and now.
Mhm.
This is going to get you to the ultimate goal. I'll share with you a personal thing right now, that's happening right now. That I'm getting ready to make, I can't share too many details, but I'm getting ready to make a career move that is
Mhm.
so different from anything I've ever done before.
Mhm.
And through that, it was, speaking to people that I trust and going through, kind of batting down the fear that
Mhm.
I've had,
Mhm.
to do it. And I'm more than likely going to do it. So
Mhm.
we'll talk a little bit more about that when it happens, but
Yeah.
I'll be happy to share with you. But I share with that because at this moment in time, my phone is ringing off the hook. My
Mhm.
LinkedIn, when I look at, how many, they send you that analytics about,
Mhm.
your profiles being noticed, the numbers are ridiculous. And that's because everyone's looking for someone like me.
Mhm.
And so it could be quite lucrative for me because
Yes.
everyone's looking for us, right?
Yes.
But that's not the direction I'm going to go.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
So again, it is, being very intentional about this. For me, it's all about my long-term
Yes.
goal. This is going to get me to what ultimately I've always wanted to
Yes.
do.
Well, my goodness, you have shared some nuggets in this. So I'm going to break this down because as you're talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So ladies, if you're listening to this, I hope you're taking notes. She said, okay, so first off, she talked about self-awareness, how important it is to have an awareness of who you are and what you're there to do. Because from there, having that clarity, it's going to guide everything that you do going forward. But she also talked about the fact of having the confidence to be able to do something different and go against the grain after you've achieved that clarity and you know who you are and what you're there to do. And then third, she talked about the fact that she's visible as a thought leader, right? So she's put herself out is needed, okay? And now she's got so many different opportunities to decide what direction it is that she's going to take. But I think those three key things that she's listed there, shared with us today, are really the foundation of helping you to empower yourself if you're in a situation where you're feeling stuck, if you're in a situation where you're feeling like you're lacking clarity, or if you're in a situation where you're just like, I just need somebody to give me a chance. I just need somebody to see me. I just need that one opportunity and it'll change anything for me. Think about what she said there. She said self-awareness and clarity. She said know what you have and what you do, how it brings value. And then she said make yourself visible so people know that you're there, because they can't promote you, they can't elevate you, they can't offer you an opportunity if they don't know that you're there. So this makes me go to my next question, because I want to know, Elisa, what kind of advice would you give to not just women leaders, but women leaders of color about how they can advance in their senior leadership?
I think one of the things, and you said it in your summary of what we're talking about, is understand your worth.
Hmm.
You need to be a student of the game. So no one's going to let you in unless you are a student of the game. You need to understand the waters in which you're swimming in. No one's going to give you anything. So you need to recognize that. And one of the things that I recognize is truly important, regardless of what business that you're in. Um, Leaders recognize leaders, and the way a leader is recognized is that it's always someone who really understands the ins and outs of the business in which they are in. So if you are at an entry level and you're aspiring to go further, understand what that ultimate goal is and understand what it takes to get there. I just like to call it, just be a student of your game, to use sports analogy. and be determined. And again, I'm going to use the same word over again. Be very intentional about it. Put it on your vision board. If you can see it, then it will be so. And not play games with yourself. Grab yourself an accountability partner. I have them as well to stop me when, you know, the little voice of doubt gets in my head. I'm able to reach out and make sure that I'm being brought back to my focus, because everyone, regardless of who you are, you can get thrown off your axis because of things. So be very serious about it. You know, you talked about it's your brand. Treat yourself like your brand. And if you do that, trust me, like everyone owns a business. You're walking in it.
Yes.
Right? We all own a business. It's a business of me.
Yes. Yeah. That's heavy. And you know what? I think I didn't know. Well, I know I did not know that when I started my career. This is what I wanted to do with this whole series, is I wanted to have a behind the scenes for women that are listening. If you don't have a mentor, if you don't have a sponsor, if you don't have someone to just say, girl at the water cooler, let me tell you, you want that C-suite, this is how you get there. This is what this series was designed to do, where you could hear from experts, thought leaders, people to tell you how to navigate the politics of promotion and really learn the unwritten rules of the game. So, Elisa, I am just so happy that you have been here today. This time has flown by so quickly.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
Now, tell our listeners where they can find you if they want to know more about what you're doing or join you in your work.
Well, I am not a big social media junkie. I probably will have to be now, but you can find my profile on LinkedIn. It's Elisa Leary at this point. You know, I've done some things out there. I have some media you can kind of link in to see some of the things that I've done. You can probably Google me and find a couple of things, but I am one of these leaders that just am passionate about what I do. I'm not really high profile. You may find me at, you know, the Black Enterprise Women of Summit. You know, I participated, you know, year over year in some of those things. I actually do coaching, actually getting my certification now. I don't know why I'm doing that at this point, because I'm so busy. But yeah, you know, it's kind of what I've always enjoyed doing. I've never done it for a fee. Probably shouldn't say that, because I just love making sure that, you know, I'm kind of bringing up, you know, my sisters and my brothers to help them understand and how to navigate. So wherever I can be helpful, I try to continue to be that. But social media, for the most part, for work, I'm on LinkedIn.
All right. So Elisa Leary, you'll find her on LinkedIn, and we'll drop that in the show notes so you can know where to find her on LinkedIn. Elisa, is there anything you want to say to our guests on the way out?
Listen, be intentional. Be intentional about your brand, and it will get you to the path that you choose to journey.
Amazing. Thank you again for being here. My name is Dr. Sanchez, and I will see you guys next time.
Thank you for joining the conversation. Remember to subscribe, share, and join us next time.